Hi, welcome to TechPrain YouTube channel. I am Folasha Samuel. In today's video, you will learn how to add login and Prometheus Metrics to your FastAPI application. This will help you to monitor the performance and health of your application effectively. By the end of this video, you will have a clear understanding of how to implement these features and see the results in your FastAPI application Swagger documentation. What is login? Logging is one of the most powerful tools for any developer. Imagine trying to solve a problem in your application but having no idea where it occurs or why. That is where logging comes in handy. It records events happening within your code base and helps you trace bugs or inefficiencies. In simpler terms, logging is like taking notes on your application's activities. From recording errors to monitoring requests, it helps us know what happened, where, and when. In FastAPI, logging is straightforward. You can use Python's built-in logging modules to capture essential details about incoming requests and outgoing responses. To implement logging, you can add middleware that tracks every request your API receives. This provides insights into how users interact with your API and helps identify performance bottlenecks or unexpected behaviors. Now let's talk about Prometheus Metrics. Why logins gives us a detailed view of events. Prometheus is a real-time monitoring tool that collects performance metrics. Metrics, unlike logs, focus on measuring and quantifying your system's behavior over time. For example, you can track the number of requests your APIs received, average response time, or even the number of errors encountered. Prometheus stores this data in a time series format, making it easy to track trends over time. And if you combine Prometheus with Grafana, you can visualize this metric on beautiful dashboard. Before we start, make sure you have FastAPI project set up. If you haven't done this yet, you can create a new project by following this step. Make directory FastAPI login Prometheus, then cd into the directory. So after that, let's set up a virtual environment. Setting up a virtual environment. After setting up our virtual environment, we can now activate the virtual environment. Now our virtual environment has been activated. The thing to do here is to integrate the Prometheus metrics into our FastAPI. Now we have to first install the FastAPI library. Now we've successfully installed the FastAPI library. Now let us integrate the Prometheus metrics into the FastAPI by installing the Prometheus client library into our project. Now that we have our environment ready, let us create our main and monitoring files. By doing this, create our main file. Then let's create our monitoring file. Created our main file and monitoring file. After creating our main file and monitoring file, now we open our Visual Studio Code. Then now let's open our monitoring file. Now we added this following code to our monitoring file. In this file, we start by importing some key modules, Prometheus. This is used to track the time it takes to process each request. We create a summary matrix called request duration, which track the duration of each request in seconds. We defined a function start metrics server that starts the Prometheus HTTP server on port 800. This server will expose the metrics in the Prometheus format, which will be later scraped by Prometheus itself. Finally, we defined metrics middleware function that captures the duration of each request. It uses Python's time function to measure the time spent on processing a request and then logs this time to Prometheus using request duration observe. Let's move into our main file. Then we add the following code to our main file. In this file, we have created the FastAPI application and added two middlewares. We imported the metrics middleware from the monitoring file and added it to the FastAPI app using the app middleware. This middleware will capture the duration of each request. Then we also define a logging middleware to log every request and response. When a request is made, it logs the HTTP method and the URL, and after the request is processed, it logs the response status code and content type. In addition, we have a metrics endpoint that returns the metric in a Prometheus compatible format. We also set up basic logging with login basic config here, which logs information level events. The logger will track key events such as requests and responses in our app. Now let's run our FastAPI application. Okay, copy this URL and paste it on your browser. Let's try out this. As you interact with your API, you will see logs in your console showing the request being made and the response status codes. When you navigate to your docs to access the Swagger UI where you test, like when we test on the Swagger UI, you can see the response body here. When you visit the metrics URL, you see the metrics collected by Prometheus. Alright, now you've successfully added login and Prometheus metrics to your FastAPI application. This setup not only helps you monitor the performance of your application, but also provides valuable insights for debugging and analysis. Thanks for watching. Feel free to drop any question or suggestion in the comments below. Happy coding.